Good morning, and this is your crypto day morning. Today's date, Saturday, the 3rd day of November 2018. I'd like to welcome you. My name is Derek. All trades, bets, and of the like. Well, that's within your own risk reward. We're only going to really be taking a look at Bitcoin and Zen throughout this video. A little bit on the TUSD against the USDT as well. So as far as Bitcoin, and at 63.28, staying within the 18-hour or 18 average correctionary phase. Long term, it's all about the lower highs matching lows in and around the 5,900 to 6,100 as the matching low support area. And of course, one by one, each of these lows has been lower than the one that preceded it. Okay. As far as the short term is concerned, we can take a look at this multi-hit low at around 6,080. And from the time that it hit it, we got this high in at 74.11. Then it hits at 63.84. And then at 68.04. This one microscopically lower at 67.45. It still hasn't been able to get above this band, so it can still technically make even the shorter term lower high at like 65, but still staying within that very difficult pattern of indecisiveness, because 61 to 5,900 has been so stubborn, if you will, as far as not breaking below or doing magnificent and doing that upholding. But the same stubbornness in that is also the case in not getting above any of these previous lower highs. So at some point in time, and you'd think it's definitely overdue as it's playing now, that it's got to break one side or another. And when something in life is well overdue, well, it's got to break, but because it's well overdue, you've been waiting a while for something, you could still expect there's a decent chance you can continue to wait a little bit more. All right, then. So if you take a look at this one in here, this is Bitcoin against a Bitstamp. And then we have at 63.26, 63.28, pretty much the same as the Coinbase. 63.64. That's only a differential now of about 36 basis points, which is like 0.6% differential of the two, not much at all. Even today's session, Bitcoin is down $22 right now, or a little over, or about 0.35% down on the main markets. Yet on the Bitfinex one, it's down 1% or 63. Notice the pattern from this up move. On this market, it stays well within the 18, finding many resistance of highs hits. Then when the big red candle down comes, it manages to come up and now stabilize within the 18 lows. All right, so as far as the other one, after this move, instead of staying with the 18 highs, it stayed with the 18 lows. And then as it broke down, it has now hit the 18 lows and is starting to break below it. So that's the differential between the two. Are things getting fixed on Bitfinex question mark? Or is this just part of the variance moves that it's going to have? I'll continue to keep my eyes on such. But when we take a look at the cross of the Tether and the true US dollar, it's now in at 1.005. So it's now at a 0.5%. And before this all came into place, well, it stayed at about 1.007 for about 4 or so days. Let's take a look at let's take a look at the true US dollar against a couple of the base cryptocurrencies, that being Binance Coin and Bitcoin. Starting off with the one against the Binance Coin, you can trade this, which is thus trading against cryptocurrencies, or in this case against Binance Coin. And this is also a chart that shows the inverse of how the coins are doing against the US dollar. So this is Binance Coin inverted. And right now, it's been making all of these higher lows and matching highs, which is pretty much the opposite of what the Bitcoin charts are doing, as you should expect, at least with the Bitcoin chart, which will be coming up momentarily. But within these higher lows, if it's ready to break, then that would be a decent size rise, thus, of course, a decent size decline amongst this coin against the US dollar. Taking a look at this now against or with the Bitcoin cross. And within the short-term run, we have this low here at 11.6. Then we have this low at 13.6. Then this low at 14.7. And then again at about 14.982. And now the 18 average of lows has since been holding at about 15.7. We look at this. You can ignore these little white tick moves higher. But the big level of resistance we can see is in the general area of 69 up to in the 17,000s. But breaking out above that, well, that would be a significant nice move as well, you would think. But that's, again, if Bitcoin is not out of the woods yet for that $3,000 hit. And this is just one other way of looking at the Bitcoin chart. And it's still got to get above that point, because this is that stingy part about it not breaking the key level. And if it will, I would expect that the best probability is that Bitcoin does go down to about 3,000 and have a good bounce from there, at least to 6,000. But I do feel there's a good long-term chance that cryptocurrencies, although they may not be good for, or they may have a major bust cycle in the future, I think it's at least good for a rally as we move into the 2020s, as we move to the next decade, as 2019, 2020, 21. I think it's going to stick around and have some nice moves. Thus, that's why I'm investing in trading the cryptos. And finally, let's talk about ZEN, or Horizon, and we're going to cross it within Binance Coin, as I've been talking about the trades that I've made. This is the only cross that I've traded in the last 24 hours, as I last sold below the 2 handle, around 190 something, and I bought yesterday at 1502. Now, what I said in the previous video is that, well, not only did I think it was going to go there, obviously it did, and I had 2 sells on the way up. So I said that if I was going to buy at 150, I'd probably look to buy at 140. Well, the low in here is 139, and I did put a buy order in for 140, so I had 2 buys that got executed. One at 1.5, and one again at 1.4. Now, as far as the trades that I've made, and then I'm going to go to the analysis of this chart a little bit more in depth on the technical level. I managed to get into this on July. This is my most recent trades. I bought at 00279 against the Bitcoin price, but then I immediately started trading this against Binance Coin. July 6th. Sell at about 1.5. Then July 17th, I sold it at about 198. July 24th, I sold it at 2.5. So we can see that this move in here, which went up to 2, that was the move. I was selling at that point. So be it. Excellent. Okay. So then the buybacks. Buy at 222. Buy at 181 on August the 2nd. August the 17th, I sold it at 214. August the 26th, I bought it back at 190. Next day, I bought it back at 170. September the 6th, I bought it at 199. And that same day, I bought it back at 170. Almost a month later, I was able to sell it at 199 at October the 1st. And the same day, I bought it back at $1.70. When you have moves like this, that go up and down like that, that's where it happens. But when you see this goes up to 239, and yet I'm selling here at 199. Well, because I didn't know it was going to go there. I got a sell order at 199, and then my next sell order would be at like 288 or something. because I have 3 sell orders in. I'd have one, which is the near term. So in this case, I'm going to change it. But I have a sell order at 235, then I have a sell order probably about 340, and then I have a sell order somewhere about 22. Now I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to probably put a sell order in at about, we'll get to that in a bit, but 170, maybe 175. Then I'm going to put a sell order in at about, I should put one here, but about 230. And then I'm going to put a sell order in at about $1.50 or so. So continuing on with the trades again. Buy back on October the 5th after buying at 170, buy at 150, buy again at 1425, sell at 170, which was happening on Halloween, and then 199, buy back at 150, then today again at 140. So then it's now time to change and put new buy and sell orders in. I'll be looking to buy back at the 130 handle, 1.302, which is the most previous area of where it came from, or key support. With a buy at 140 and a sell at 170, that represents a 0.3 differential. 0.14 is 10%. So it's a hair over a 20% gain from last trade. And I'll be selling 10%, maybe 11%, being more technical, of what I own on this coin. And each time when I sold and bought back, it was a case of buying more Zen, but not many more, for less base coin, in this case be a Binance coin, for a little less, but not much less than what I sold for. So if I sold for 1 unit, I'm going to pay 0.9 something to get back in. If I sold 1 coin, I'm going to buy somewhere around 1.1 back. So that's pretty much how it's done within these trades. Now, as far as these situations are concerned, the market, which had the run in July, still has only retraced about 61% back, approximately. I'm actually curious to see what the percentage is. I'm going to calculate it. The low is 1038. And the high, and by the way, this is a program I made myself if you're wondering where this comes up from. 265. So I'm looking at 38.2, which is the same as a 61 point down move, which is 1486. So right here is a 38.2% down move. So it pierced below it and then stabilized within that point. Very normal. But when you have these moves that have occurred within this trend, then what's the story stay within the 18? Because it went down, had the failed breakout, so we can see here, and then came back to its previous support level. It had this move, but it really didn't change the trend of the market. It continued hanging in within the 18. Had this one, which ended up being a failed breakout. Because as it broke this level of support at 150, you can see it had a decent sized breakdown. So now, since reaching the 18 average, well, all it's managed to do mainly is go sideways. I'm really not putting anything into the rising 18 average of highs because of how big this high happens to be. So I'm going to ignore what looks like it's starting to break out. So it's still in this neutral trend. I feel if it breaks down below like 133 or so, then yes, we're at this, 133, that means we're at the 130 test here. So if it breaks down below that point there, then we'll be looking next at about 111, 110. So for me, mathematically speaking, if I look at 110 from 130, that's a differential of 20 points. Or that of, 13 is 10%. So that is that of a 14-15% reduction in price, I'd probably look to buy actually at about 10. No, I'd probably go 110, like 1.104 as a buy. But when these markets are ready to go to the upside, of course, like we could see in here, and this wasn't that fast. I mean, it can be a lot faster when they happen. They can have substantial size gains. So when you're live in the moment within these markets, and you're seeing this kind of move take into place, you can't really tell without any other indicating information if this is going to be that of a spectacular start of something big, or what we've seen in here where it just comes back to where it came from. And in this situation, what could happen, even with this red candle, you can come down and say where this line is in here, maybe 170. Next thing you know, it starts to bounce a lot higher thereafter. And I'm going to quickly, to finish this video off, go to ARN, or Arion, because when it had its move, you can see what it did as it supported its comeback stages. This case, of course, it didn't. And this is its move in here. So let's take a look at this first, say on the 3 hour. But this is it right here. So in a situation when it had its rally, you don't know in this case here when it was at like 9,500 if it was just going to come back to where it came from, or if it could start something. And it looks like it was trying to start something, because it had a decent pullback going from the 10 handle down to the 7, finding support within the 18, and then just having a huge move up to this level here. And since then it has went sideways, had this nice little fall down to 93, but has then since rallied up to 14, giving opportunities when you're selling up here to buy a bit down in here, sell up here, buy a bit here, sell on the way up here, and then buying back down in here. So thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.